Welcome to episode 43 of the Unstoppable podcast with special guest Justin Brooke.
My name is Dan J. Gregory, and I am committed to hunting down the secrets of business mastery and human performance. My goal for the Unstoppable podcast is to share insights from some of the most successful entrepreneurs, inspiring thought leaders, world-class athletes, and prominent celebrities to help you to become unstoppable in business and life. Each week I'll be bringing you a new interview with an inspiring person and sharing my own results as I pursue the answers to the question, how can I create the ultimate edge in my business, make a significant impact, and live an extraordinary life?
Welcome to episode 43 of the Unstoppable podcast and part 2 of the 3-part mega business series. Last week we heard from Darryl Urbanski and learned the formula for creating a 7-figure business. Part of the formula that Darryl shared is T times C equals money, where T is your traffic and C are your conversions. Today I bring you the go-to guy for traffic and conversions to give you the next piece of the puzzle. Introducing Justin Brooke. Justin has a big heart and he has achieved some incredible results in his time online, and his meteoric rise has been due to his media buying genius, his great blog, and good old-fashioned hard work. Today you will discover Justin's story, which shows you that you really can turn your life around. Justin got his start 10 years ago with just $60 in a Google Adwords advertising account, and he shortly turned it into 6 figures. In 2011, he launched a digital ad agency, Scalable, which quickly became a highly sought-after 7-figure agency. Justin has generated billions of ad impressions for his clients, sold millions of dollars worth of products, and has been hired by the who's who of online business, including Mark Ford, aka Michael Masterson, Schefren and Russell Brunson, to name just a few. Today, as founder of the Digital Media Buying Institute, Justin hopes to help others to attain the levels of success that he's been able to reach by teaching marketers how to seriously level up their paid media buying skills. And Justin does all of this whilst traveling the world and being able to spend quality time with his family. And I became an instant fan of Justin's when he told me that his objective for our interview today was to melt your minds. So kick back. Get ready for the truth about growing your business with paid traffic. We're going to remove the veil and demystify how to build your business using paid media. Are you ready to have your mind melted? Let's bring Justin Brooke to the mic. Well, big welcome to Justin Brooke to the Unstoppable podcast today. I'm absolutely excited for our session. Justin, to give the listeners a bit of a frame for what you do right now, would you mind introducing yourself and telling the listeners of the Unstoppable show what your business is all about?
So for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been doing this 10 years, but for the last 4 or 5 years, I've run an ad agency. We've done really well. I've landed some of the biggest names in direct response. And so that's what I did. I did people's Facebook ads, their Google ads. We've spent millions of dollars on advertising. I've now gone back to my roots of info products, now that I've, done great at the ad agency thing. I'm now trying to teach the next flock of media buyers, because I saw in my agency it was very hard to hire a good ad guy. There's no colleges teaching that stuff, so somebody's got to do it. I know it. I might as well do it.
Amazing. So that's where you are right now. Let's take a bit of a deep dive now into how it all got started. Where did your entrepreneurial path begin?
Let's see. I was on a construction site and I was sweating my butt off, and I decided that day that I wanted to have a job. I wanted to never sweat again. And I had this vision in my head of me sitting on this really nice office chair with gray crushed velvet. And I was in the air conditioning. I was in this white box really with this amazing chair and a phone. There was a phone, but I think the phone was a metaphor for the internet. So I got into sales, and I was in this white box on a nice office chair, and I even went and found a gray crushed velvet office chair. So I built that vision, but then I really, I did good at sales, but I did great on the internet. So I think that's where that vision was really sending me. And so I started in 2007. I landed an amazing internship with Russell Brunson, internet millionaire. And my job was to study his $250,000 marketing library. So I got the education of a lifetime. but it was like really grueling work because I had to write review articles about all these courses. And I ended up actually like outsourcing that a little bit. I would just take some notes, and then I learned from him about outsourcing. So I had some guy in India actually writing the articles off of my notes, and like I'd send him links to the sales letters and stuff. That way I could get close with the millionaire. And he got me started. But like I took that knowledge back home. I started a pathetic $60 a month campaign. It's $2 a day, $60. Pathetic. But I doubled my money that month. I doubled my money 11 months in a row. I had a six-figure business, and that was it, man. Paid traffic is the thing that literally took me from ramen noodle soups to Red Lobster. And so now it's like that's the thing I'm passionate about in life.
Amazing. So when did you finally make the decision then? Obviously working so closely to a really high level mentor like that, obviously very, very powerful and a great learning ground for you. When did you make the decision that you were going to go alone? When did you hit that tipping point?
Like when the internship was over.
Right.
Actually, we had gotten along so well that he had asked me to move out there after the internship. And it was kind of joking, oh yeah, move out to Idaho. I'm from Florida. That was not a good suggestion, but we ended up actually doing it. And then, so like about 6 months after the internship, we moved out to Idaho. But within 2 weeks, we both knew that I was not, so he gave me a job as VP of his company. And within 2 weeks, we knew that I was not an employee type of person anymore. And so we had this story about, who fired who, did I quit or whatever? Because there was this Friday morning where he called me up and he's like, hey, you want to go get breakfast? And I was like, yes, because I wanted to tell him that like, this isn't working. And like, technically he fired me because he started talking first, but my whole intention was to quit that morning. And so, yeah, we joke around about that.
It's like a mutual breakup.
Yes.
So I want to talk about some of the biggest challenges you faced, but I'd like to start with, that $60 that you started with, and how that in itself is a challenge. So how did you get that motor moving? What was the secret at that point?
The secret of getting the $60 to work, or
yeah, I mean that's a big feat. For a lot of people listening to this kind of show, there's people out there. Just to give you context, some of the listeners are well-established businesses, but we've got people who are still in their corporate position. They're looking, how do they get out there? There's people on a shoestring budget. To turn $60 and build a business out of that, that's a fairly major challenge to start with. So what was the key to overcoming that initial challenge?
All right, this is going to be some real talk. So it was, Google at that time was an alternative advertising network. Today, Google is like top tier mainstream ad network, but Google at that time, we're talking 10 years ago, it was the type of ad network where you could get really cheap clicks. There wasn't a whole lot of rules, but more importantly than that, Google was where my traffic was. This is the biggest mistake I see everybody making right now. Everybody is on Google and Facebook advertising because that's like what the popular thing is. That's not how you should be thinking about it. You need to be thinking, where is your traffic? So at that time, I was selling a Joomla video course. Joomla is a software very similar to WordPress, helps people build websites. And the problem with Joomla is, especially back then, if you wanted to learn how to use it, think about this. Imagine if you had to try and learn WordPress by reading a book, but not just reading any book, reading a book that was designed by the programmers who wrote WordPress. It was the driest, most excruciating reading of my entire life, okay? And so that was it. That was the only way to learn this. And so I saw this guy had a series of videos, and I didn't think he was selling them very well based on my $250,000 education that I had just gotten.
Yes.
So I said, hey, can I pay you for the ability to resell these videos? And he was like, yeah, sure, give me $100. I thought he was going to charge me like $3,000 or something. So I was like, quickly, pulled $100 out of my pocket or credit card as fast as I could. made the sales page up a little bit better. But, all that stuff is regardless. The point of this is, where I'm really getting to is, Google allowed me the ability to put an ad in the Joomla.org forum, right where everybody's going. So where they have to go to download and learn how to install this software, bam, that's where my ad was, right there.
Nice.
It's like it couldn't possibly have been a better placement. So yeah, it was a ridiculous $2 a day spend, but I was at the inception point with my ad. And that's what people really need to be thinking about. Where is that super low-hanging fruit, that inception point where I can put an ad that is a no-brainer, people see it, that's where you need to put your ad. And that might not be Facebook. It may be, but I have a feeling it might not be.
Wow. And I want to talk platforms a little bit later on, but for now, let's stick on the kind of challenges. And that solution that you came up with in terms of that unique challenge. That's amazing how you did that, especially getting such a good deal from the dude who gave you the videos. That's awesome. Yeah. So I'd like to hear about some of the challenges you faced on your entrepreneurial journey, whether that's inner game stuff or strategies. What are some of the major challenges you've faced on your journey as an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge was in 2010 when I decided to get out of the info product game. So I had some success, like I was just explaining, the course I was selling at that time was, it was a digital course. It was teaching. And, in 2010, it was a really interesting time because I had just sold my business, which was an info product business. Sold that and then kind of forgot, I had that big chunk of money and I forgot to just start making more money until I was down to about $1,000. And then I had no business.
Right.
And now I felt like I made this big, huge mistake. And there was a time when all of a sudden bloggers and YouTube and it just changed the information marketing game so much. I mean, in 2007 to 2009, it was easy to sell information because there wasn't a blog post and a podcast and a YouTube about every single topic. You think about it today, there's all these ultimate guides to everything. So it's a different world. So what I knew was no longer working and I had to create something else and I had no business and I had no money coming in. And so I lost all confidence in myself. And that was the biggest, hardest thing to come back from. Was, how do I be confident? How do I trust myself again? So I went through a long series of trying to pay other people to make my decisions for me by hiring coaches and mentors and masterminds and all this stuff. And, they took me in directions I didn't really want to go. All of a sudden I had a big company with a lot of people and an office and I'm driving to work and I'm setting alarm clocks. And I was like, wait. I got into this so that I didn't have alarm clocks, so I wasn't driving to work, so I wasn't working in an office every day. I'm in the wrong direction. How did I get here? And so that whole thing, that was hard to overcome. And I ended up having to learn to just trust myself, whether that meant failure or not. I just had to trust in myself and give myself permission to make the decisions that I knew I wanted.
Was there a defining moment when you made that decision?
There was a defining moment when I realized I had gone all the way down a road that I never wanted to go down. I had this agency. It was great. We made, we had our first 7-figure year and on paper, life should have been awesome, but everybody was mad at each other. I was working all the hours. And my kids weren't seeing me as much. And, so that was a defining moment, realizing I'd gone down the wrong road. And it was because I let because I was trying to pay other people to make decisions for me. So then I had to start making decisions for myself. And very quickly, happiness started getting back into my life. I started remembering, why did I do this in the first place? What was actually important to me? Playing video games, reading comic books, hanging out with my family, being able to go to the movies at noon. Those were the things that were important to me. And once I started getting those things back in my life, everything started becoming fun again. And I had more time to think and everybody was happy. And we're not making as much money. We still do great. I'm not making as much, but I have the ultimate amazing life. I just traveled for 9 months around the world with my kids.
That's amazing. I mean, when I reached out to you about getting on the show, you're like, well, I'm kind of on the road at the minute. We'll have to put it in June. I'm like, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm kind of in Bali in a pool right now. Can we, check this later?
That's amazing. So one thing I want to touch on there's a couple of things. When you took that power back to make the decisions yourself, that moment, what steps did you take to really define what you wanted? Because that's a major challenge I see people trying to figure out at all levels, whether they're just getting started out or whether they hit 7 figures and they want to go where next. When you took that power back, what did you go through to evaluate what you really wanted?
I wish there was like a secret or like a framework. All right, guys, just do 1, 2, 3, and you're done. Take this and call me in the morning. It was a lot of just introspection. It was a lot of there were some tears. There was like. It was very hard and very ugly and very dark, and I just, really had to get honest with myself. That I would say that's the biggest thing. I think really, really being brutally honest with yourself and what is it that you actually want. You want, not what you want because that's what society tells you should want, or not because that's what your guru says that you should want, but what do you really want? Despite all the money, despite everybody else out there, if you were living in a bubble and nobody else was around in your life, what would you actually want to do? That's a very hard conversation to have. And that's what led me to the promised land, I guess they'd say.
That's where the power is. I mean, just hearing you talk about the concept of happiness as well, it just took me somewhere, because a couple of months ago, I'd been working flat out and I went down to the beach. Where I live is about 3-4 hours away from the beach. It was a bit of a trek, although no trek in the UK is anything like some of the treks I've been on in the US. But it took, we had this 4-hour trip to the beach. And I sat there and I did my journal. I do a daily journal, and I just changed the questions. I mix it up. And one of the questions was, what am I happy about right now? And I just had this mental blank. Here I was at this beautiful beach, the sun shining, my girlfriend was there, the sound of the waves. I was like, I cannot answer the question, what am I happy about? I've been in that warp working so hard that I'd forgotten the things that made me happy. So I changed the question to what could I be happy about? And all these things came out, and it made me realize some of the little things are missing. I'm a big rock and roll fan. I wasn't even listening to music anymore, so now every morning I've got the tunes on to get fired up for the day. And it's just like, gosh, how did I get so warped out, into that zone? But it happens, you focus, and all of a sudden you hit that moment. And it's like, wow, this isn't actually what I want. Right, so that's powerful.
I think, you're onto it with those questions, because if I think back to that time, there was kind of 2 questions in my mind now that you've said that. One was, what's making me so unhappy right now? Because I just crossed the $1 million line. I should be amazingly happy, and I have this office and this reputation. And so one question was, what is making me unhappy? And then you're right. The other question was, what would make me happy? And that was, the going to the movies with my wife at lunch, and reading comic books and playing video games, and still making good money, and traveling with my kids. You're right. That question is big.
Awesome. And what have been some of your proudest moments on your entrepreneurial journey to date?
Proudest moments, watching my wife become a CEO. That's very cool. So she started in our business as pretty much like she would make my ebooks pretty. So she was a teacher when I was starting. And here I was trying to live this internet lifestyle. I had already started to make some money, and I had to drive her to work every morning at 6 a.m. So here I am, still waking up to an alarm clock, still driving a car to a job every morning. And so every morning I would tell her how much money I made while we were sleeping. And I knew that would eventually get agitating enough to make her want to quit her job. And I said, how much do I got to make in order for you to quit her job? And so she threw out that number, and I went a rhino getting to that number, and she came to work with me. And she originally just started as helping to make my ebooks prettier, because she had a Mac computer and she could make PDFs better than a PC could. But now she has blossomed into literally running my company and her company, and I'm pretty much just a salesman now. I write the blog post, I do the YouTube videos, but she runs the company. She hires, she manages, she thinks of all the strategy. It's very cool to see that happening now.
It's amazing that you have that opportunity to grow together, I think, as well, and enjoy that process.
Yeah.
So before we get into kind of the meat, I really want to get into kind of the meat of what my goal for this really is. I would like to demystify traffic and conversions, because I used to work in financial services, and there's all this jargon, there's like this veil of confusion within the whole thing, which kind of it doesn't mislead the end user, but it makes it very hard for people to really understand what's important. And
Absolutely.
I feel that traffic and conversion still has there's that element about it. There's this mystique, there's this veil, and people kind of overcomplicate what could potentially be quite a simple process. So I want to get into that. But before we do, what is your vision for the future of your business now and where you are right now?
My vision is I have come to terms with myself that I'm not a long-term guy. I'm a flipper. I don't like to build a company and then keep scaling it. Like, once I figure out how this thing makes money and kind of grows, I'm done with it. Like, the moment has a glimmer of success, I get completely bored with the idea, and I will at that point then start sabotaging it so that I can make it better again. That's weird, right? But that's the kind of honesty I have with myself. So I realize now that the future of my business is having a core team that can help me build up a business and sell it very quickly. The moment it starts getting into that point of scale, when an investor would be like really, really excited in it, that's when we sell. I'm not going to be the kind of guy who builds a company, scales it all the way up, and then right before it starts dropping, then I'm going to sell it. That's just not me. That's another guy, and that's cool that's his thing. But me, so like, I'm building up this new business right now, and the moment it reaches about 500,000 annual revenue, I'm going to sell it to somebody for $1 million or as much as I can. And then I'm going to build another one, and I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to build another one, and I'm going to do it again. I believe with the right core team, I can do that every 6 months and, have just 5 people. And I've worked out all my margins and everything. It makes me a great lifestyle, and it allows me to pay the people on my team a great income as well, and have a lot of fun and do a lot of different things. So that's the future of my business, is building and flipping businesses quickly.
Awesome. And if you take the essence of all the work that you've been involved with to date and where you're going right now, what would you say is kind of like, what's the essence of what you're about? What do you want people to know you for?
Yeah, it's changing a lot. It used to be, I want people to know me for traffic, and I did great at that. I mean, you have me on your podcast right now because I'm the traffic guy millionaires recommend. But so I got there, I won that goal, and I'm like, I want another goal now, And so I guess what I really want is to be known for being a great father. That's going to be important to me. I want to be known for having amazing discipline and for biohacking. But there's a lot of challenges I have to overcome in biohacking because I'm obviously overweight. But those type of things I'm very passionate about nootropics and other things like that. So that's where I'm trying to go. That's where I want people to know me for later on, is my obsession with productivity, my obsession with efficiency. Those are the things I want to be known for.
Amazing. Cool. Okay, so let's dive into the meat of it then. So, demystifying traffic, conversions, paid media. There's a lot of solo entrepreneurs who listen to this podcast, and the age-old problem of getting people to see your stuff, to get attention in the crowded marketplace. All these different platforms you've got available to you now. How can we break it down? What are the basics? What are the fundamentals? What are the most important principles that people need to know to grow their business and to gain traffic and to maximize and optimize their conversions?
The first thing that people need to change in their mindset towards traffic and conversions is, you said it. Everybody thinks it's mystical, or there's a secret, or there's some tool or idea, or like something is going to help them crack the code. It's never going to happen. buying media is nothing more than science and math. Literally, that's all it is. It's not magic. It's not mystical. There's no secrets. If ever there was a secret, the secret is it's just science and math. And you would actually learn more about, I'm going to refer to it as media buying, but I mean paid traffic, online ads, whatever you want to call it. You're buying media online. The secret to you would learn more about media buying by reading a book about poker than you would by most of the courses that are out there about paid traffic. And what I mean by that is in poker, you learn to not be emotional about the money that you push into the pot. And for media buyers, the money you push into the pot is the money you push into the ad network. You cannot be emotional about that money. You need to get to a point, whether you got to fundraise or borrow money or get a second job, whatever you got to do, you need to be able to have a bankroll that you can put in the ad network and be completely unemotional about the way that you use that money, because that money is now a tool. It is not yours anymore. So that's one thing that you learn in poker. The other thing you learn in poker is about odds and math and counting. Like if you really learn about poker, those guys are mathematicians more than they are poker players. The reason they win big money at poker is because they're doing calculations in their head really fast all the time, hours on end. And that's all I do. So for me, when I think about a funnel, I'm thinking, okay, well, if I buy 1,000 clicks and clicks cost me on average 50 cents, that means it's about $500 I'm going to spend. So in order to make my $500 back, okay, well, I have a sales page. Well, I can kind of guess that maybe I'm going to have about a 1% conversion because that's kind of what everybody usually has is about a 1% conversion. So I'll start with that number. So that means that if my price is $49, in order to get a 1% conversion, that's 100 clicks with one sale. You do the percentage, that's a 1%. So the 100 clicks, I'm buying 1,000 clicks. If I have a 1% conversion, that means I'm going to have 10 sales. 10 sales times $49 is $490. I almost made my money back. You see what I mean? It's just math.
Yep.
That's all it is. And most people should start out writing on paper. When you're designing your funnel on the whiteboard, this is another huge mistake everybody's making. They're putting these elaborate funnels together, and then they're spending $10,000, $25,000. I've seen ungodly numbers of these people spending all this money on these famous guru funnels and whatever, and then they come to me and want to drive traffic, and I'm like, dude, you haven't even tested that thing yet. I'm not touching it. Don't bring that new funnel to me. That thing's a freaking minefield. And then they want to spend $5,000 with me and make $500,000. I'm like, dude, it just doesn't. The math doesn't work that way. So what you've got to do is you've got to come up with a very basic funnel, understand the math behind your funnel, and then start from there and build it bigger. So that the goal is to start with a very simple math formula, and then expand upon it and make your math formula better and better. Call it your economics, your math formula, whatever. That's the true goal. That's what you really should be working on. Am I making sense, or is that too high level? Or?
No, total sense. Yeah. So just one question. Have you always had like a mathematics scientific brain, or is that something you've developed over time?
Oh my God, dude, it literally, and it'd be 4 years to pass Algebra 1.
Right.
So, and I still think they just pushed me through at the end. They were like, just get this freaking guy out of my class. I cheated off of my wife in geometry class and literally slept through the finals. And the teacher was so pissed at me for sleeping because she was like, why won't you even try? And I was like, well, based on my averages, I should probably get a D. So I don't even need to do this test. I'll just, D is a pass. And she was so angry at me for thinking that way. But when I say math, I'm talking about really basic stuff.
Yes.
And I know math scares most people, but I mean really basic stuff like 1%, 10%, basic addition, subtraction, nothing complicated.
No, that's cool. And I think that's reassuring. And when you break it down in terms of, right, here's the funnel. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I made early on in my entrepreneurial journey is I didn't do the math. I didn't calculate how many, how much money did I predict that I would need to spend based on a set of conversion metrics that would result in a profit. I was just gung ho. Here's some money. Here's a basic funnel I've built. Let's spend some money. And then at the end of it, oh, look, there's no sales. Oh dear, there's some problems.
Right.
So what I established, that it was possible to create sales with the funnel. It wasn't necessarily the funnel was a poor converting funnel. It was the fact that I needed to spend more money to get to the conversion level to generate that sale. So that was one big lesson I took, in terms of understanding the metrics. But of course, when you got those metrics, you can then zoom in on each piece of the puzzle to understand where the funnel is leaking.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. Everybody blames the traffic, but that's like the store blaming the billboard for not being able to get sales. It's like you at the cash register are the one in the store. The billboard's job is only to get people to walk in the door. When that person is in the door, that's when you can make the sale. And that's what I explained to all my clients. It's like, look, I'm an ad guy. There's certain things I can do on my end. Like I can target the right people. I can help get your click prices down. But when I send that person to you, it's your job to make the sale, not mine. I cannot physically do that. Your funnel, your landing page is what's going to create the conversion. And everybody's always like, oh, I spent $500 on Facebook. Facebook doesn't work. No, Facebook works. It's your funnel that doesn't work.
Absolutely. And what are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen then in terms of those, the funnel, like the funnel leaks or the funnel, where the salesman hasn't shown up to do the job? What's the biggest leaks in the funnel that you see?
Oh man, I just wrote a very controversial article that took a life of its own. I'm still answering questions about it. I wrote an article about why using a squeeze page is like burning your money. And I explained the math behind using a squeeze page in your funnel. For some people, it's great. I would not be able to sell my services or my consulting without a squeeze page because it's like a $10,000, $15,000 and more purchase. You're not going to drive a Facebook ad to a $10,000 sales page. It's not going to work. But a lot of my clients who are selling a $49 product or a $100 product or a bottle of pills, putting a squeeze page in front of that decimates the math formula. It just puts you in such an uphill battle. And everybody was commenting about, well, yeah, you could follow up with them and you could do this and you could do that. And what if I had this amazing squeeze page? Like, yes, you can break the math formula and make it work. But why work that hard? You can just create a better, easier math situation by going straight to the sales page. And so that's one of the mistakes that I see people making with funnels is they just default to, oh, well, I should use a squeeze page because everybody uses a squeeze page and because I want to have a big list that I can promote things to. And, but have you actually thought about the math in your thing? It may be better to just drag to the sales page. And wouldn't you rather have a big giant customer list rather than a big giant freebie list? And so people still, it's like that concept is still like melting people's minds, and I'm trying to help people understand it. But that's like the biggest thing is they're not understanding that you don't have to just use the same funnel everybody else is using. You can create a right size funnel that matches you, your business, your market, your offer, and makes your using the right size funnel. You could just very easily have a profitable campaign instead of having to work hard.
That's awesome. And the other thing is it seems to be quite short-sighted because, I've been to plenty of different content or sales pages where the content was amazing or the sales page was amazing. I didn't buy necessarily, but I still ended up on their list via a different channel because I was blown away with what they had. It doesn't mean it has to be in that one instance where the squeeze page, destroys the maths, as you say. I think it comes back to that poker mentality. It's the fear-based mentality that if you don't put that page there, then all of a sudden you've lost the opportunity of that single lead. But actually, if you do a damn good job on the sales page, even if they don't buy, they're going to come back and find out more about what you do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would tell everybody to look into Agora or Stansberry Research. This company has 750,000 people on their list, but they're all buyers. And so when they run a webinar, they make millions instead of when they run a webinar, they make 25,000 or 100,000 or what most people are bragging about in the internet marketing circles. They run a webinar, they make $3 million in 24 hours. So that's the power of having a giant customer list. And, sometimes you need a squeeze page. So yes, it's about the math. I can't say it any other way.
So what's the key to attracting a buying audience?
What's that?
What's the key to attracting a buying audience?
It's breaking up a little bit. You said the key to finding a buying audience?
Yes. Yeah.
So here's my thoughts on that. Everybody buys. There's I don't want to target non-buyers. I only want to target buyers. If you think about it, everybody's buying stuff. Everybody has a couch in their living room. Everybody has a TV in their living room. Everybody's buying groceries. Everybody's buying something. Okay, so you just have to figure out, what are your people buying and why are they buying it, and put yourself in that path of the money. And I don't think there's any such thing as like non-buyer traffic or buyer traffic. And, it's just a matter of how you create your offer. Did you put enough urgency and scarcity in it so that they would actually want to buy today? Because you could come up with a very good offer and they're just like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I want to buy this someday. But that's the kiss of death. When they say, I want to buy this someday, you need to make it so that they want to buy it today. And that's the biggest thing. So I don't subscribe to the idea that there's buyer traffic and non-buyer traffic. Everybody gets a paycheck on Friday and everybody spends it by Monday.
So what would you say is the key to standing out now, with in terms of traffic? How does someone capture the attention of their buyers?
Value. The biggest way you stand out right now, everybody, and I mean like everybody, is they're trying to get sales with trickier and trickier ways, smarter and smarter exit pops and exit intent and, one-click upsells. And like I put up this image on my fan page once of this guy holding like 12 different weapons. That's how I see most people's sales pages today. It's like this marauder holding all these different weapons, trying to figure out a way to trick and manipulate the buyer into buying. Instead of screaming louder, instead of having more pop-ups and more widgets on your pages, more value. That's what makes the sale. When you create that epic blog post that people are like, wow, this is amazing. This is something I've never heard it explained this way. You immediately start looking like, what does this guy sell? What can I buy from him? That's just the default thought human beings have. When you give somebody value, they immediately start thinking, how can I pay you to keep giving me this value? Because value is the drug. And so that's how you stand out. You stand out by having epic blog posts or podcasts or YouTube videos or whatever it is. And then you use a couple of smart tricks on top of that, like video retargeting instead of just regular retargeting. And I mean, like the same code you would use to do retargeting, you can use that same code to show a video to them on Facebook or show a video to them on Twitter or YouTube or all of the above. And what do you think is going to convert better? Showing them a banner ad or showing them a 3-minute awesome video?
Wow.
The video,
Yeah,
and so
course.
Use a couple of the tricks, sprinkle the tricks, but massive value. That's how you stand out.
Well, retargeting is, that's taking that's taking the headlines recently, I guess, in terms of the latest kind of must-have technology and tools available to marketers. What are the most important things people need to consider then when they use retargeting?
So one, retargeting is not list building. And a lot of people are thinking of it like list building. It's like, oh my God, I now don't even have to have them opt in. I can just drop a pixel and they're on my list, right? I can just start targeting them. I thought of it that way as well. So I understand it. That's when I first started retargeting, that's in the thoughts I had. Let me retarget everybody so I can show them all my ads. And then I quickly learned that that's a really, really good way to blow a lot of money. So if you think about it, people that land on your website, a good bounce rate is like 60, 70%. It's a decent bounce rate.
Okay.
That means that 60, 70% of the people that landed and that you just cookied, pixeled, whatever you want to call it, never were going to buy anyways. They didn't even like your webpage. They looked at it and they were like, no, this isn't what I want. So that means 60 to 70% of the money that you're spending on that audience is being wasted because they never wanted it in the first place. So the first thing you got to do with your retargeting is make sure you're retargeting the right people.
Wow.
So whether you use software or hire a coder to delay your pixel, you can do it with Tag Manager, Google Analytics, and there's code that you can use. I don't want to get techie, but delay your pixel for a little bit, 30, 45 seconds. Let those bouncers get out of there, then pixel the people who actually liked what you had to say and show ads to those people. Dramatically changes the money. Now 100% of your money is going to people who actually liked what you had to say, even, moderately, instead of, 70% of the money was going to people who never even liked what you had to say. And now you're trying to make money with 30%. So that's the first thing to do with retargeting. Second thing to do with retargeting is don't be so basic about it. And I don't want to use the Ronda Rousey phrase, but there's a lot of people that are being that basic person about retargeting. They just have an ad. It's like, hey, did you mean to buy this product? Or, hey, we saw you on our website. Weren't you trying to buy this product? That's like the super basic default way of doing retargeting. Instead, key in on the benefits of your product. Show testimonials. Imagine this. Somebody comes to your website, and because you dropped your pixel after 45 seconds, it was actually somebody who kind of liked what you were about. And then all of a sudden, everywhere they go, there's testimonials for you everywhere on the internet. Mm-hmm. Because you're using retargeting. That's better. That's much smarter.
Smart. Yeah.
And then start using videos. So they come to your blog, and then, they were on there for more than 45 seconds, so they liked it. And then all of a sudden they start seeing more content from you when they go to Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And it's like, oh, man, this guy is just value. Everywhere I go, he's giving me all this value, all these cool things. And then at the end of all of them, you always say, if you like this stuff, you're going to love my product. Do that enough and they're going to buy. They cannot not buy. It's the law of reciprocity. It's a law. It's not a theory. It's not the theory of reciprocity. It's the law of reciprocity.
That's some really gold nuggets there. That's some really powerful tips. And you said it's not necessarily effective for list building. What are the primary functions then for retargeting? It's just straight up to drive sales?
Yeah, I would. Well, it depends. I mean, if you're consulting, coaching, you have masterminds. If you have a high-priced product that you're trying to sell, well, you got to do lead gen. You got to build a list, get that person to know you, like you, trust you enough to want to spend $5,000, $10,000 with you. But if you're selling fish oil pills or basketball equipment or yoga mats or $100 info products, drive them to your sales letter. Mm-hmm. And make your sales letter educational. Make your sales letter, and imagine if your VSL was valuable and actually taught a lesson, and then on the back end had a pitch. That type of stuff is a 1-2 punch.
That's cool. And in terms of list building, I come up with this concept: recycle lead magnets. People are just taking the easy road when it comes to list building, and I just don't think it cuts it anymore. I looked at my laptop hit capacity the other day, and there's all these downloaded files that I've collected over the years but never really looked at. And it may have got me on a list. It may have done its job. But what is the key in 2016 to attracting leads, building a list? What are the key things right now?
So, first thing I'm going to say is when I say these things, I often get misconstrued to it's like the death of. Like, because I just mentioned something about squeeze pages, there's somebody who's listening who thinks I said squeeze pages don't work. That was not the conversation. And what I'm about to say right now, I'm not saying free reports don't work. Obviously they have, and they've worked for many, many years, but there's things that work better. That's what I'm saying, And so free report, free video, that's a default thing. That's a basic thing that you can do, and you might get some opt-ins with it. And if it's a good enough headline and a good enough template, it might actually work for you. Mm-hmm. Or you can have a free spreadsheet, and people just fight over themselves to opt in. You know, like I regularly get 60 and 70% opt-in rates because my lead magnets are things that people just desperately want. Like one of them is 50 ads that have made $1 million or more on the internet. People in my market, you know, my audience, newbies and veterans alike are like, yes, give me that. I want to see that. Or I've got another one. It's a spreadsheet of 200 different places you can get traffic from. Yes, give me that. You know, it's like, what is the, you know, not to advocate drugs or to make them sound good or anything, but like, what is the crack cocaine of your market that they want? And in my space, it's proven ads and proven traffic places. So that's what I give them. Give them exactly what they desire. So tools, free trials, free memberships. The best squeeze page I ever ran was a free membership site. Get access to all these videos and these tools and these documents. Just, you know, become a member, name, email, put in your password. Well, when they register for a free membership site or a free piece of software, what are you getting? You're getting their email address. It's just an advanced type of squeeze page. You know, and so that was the best one ever. I was even able to advertise it on Google in a period where nobody was able to advertise squeeze pages on Google a few years ago. Here I was with a free membership site, and Google loved it, and people were opting in by the buttload.
Amazing. I call it give them the burrito, not the flyer, because I give an example. I was walking in a city nearby me. I was walking down the street, and in the same street, 2 different restaurants offered me their lead magnet. One gave me a flyer about their cafe, and the other one gave me a mini burrito. I freaking that was a targeted customer. I love burrito, so I got my burrito, and of course I became a customer. I've gone back. I got real value. I was able to implement by consuming it immediately. And I say when it's online or offline, you want to give something people can chew on. You know, give them something good, something tasty, and that's exactly what you just said there. And I love that.
And I think a lot of people, the way they're thinking is like, if I give something too awesome, why would they buy from me? Because I just gave them something awesome. No, I know that's how it sounds logically, but it's illogical, because when you give somebody something awesome, the next thing they want more awesome, you know? And so give something that's amazing in value, and then they'll want to buy more from you naturally. It's how the human brain works. They can't not think that way.
Amazing. Something I want to touch on at the beginning of the conversation, you talked about your experience when Google was the alternative. You had that rich opportunity where the people were starting to use Google to that kind of level. Are there any platforms or emerging technologies or channels right now that are kind of under the radar, but there's a lot of people kind of flocking to that listeners need to know about?
Always. There is always an alternative ad network. It's just how the ad industry works. You know, there's always a top guy, and then there's a guy who's trying to beat that top guy. And so like right now, native ads is like the really hot thing, and the top guy is Taboola. Everybody knows about Taboola. Even if you're not advertising on Taboola, you probably have heard of it, or Yahoo Gemini. Well, the guy who's trying to beat them is Rev Content. And in the ad world, the way the game is played, in the beginning, they have very cheap clicks and almost no rules, because they don't have a lot of customers, and they can't have a lot of rules and have expensive clicks and also get a lot of customers. You know, it's just not the way supply and demand works. And so there was a time when Google was the new guy, and Yahoo had already been established, and AOL had already been established, and that's where all the top guys were advertising. Google was the new guy, and so you could go in there and you could advertise just about anything you wanted, and you could get 5-cent clicks. But today it's not like that anymore. Now that they have a lot of customers, they can make up whatever rules they want. They can make up whatever prices they want. But Rev Content and other ad networks like them, they still are hungry. They still need that customer base. So I'm not saying you just get away with anything on Rev Content, but there's a lot that you can get away with, and they have cheap clicks, and it's good traffic. It's the same traffic that Taboola would have. I mean, literally the widgets are on the same websites, but It's just a little cheaper. You have less compliance headaches. There's a lot of ad networks out there. There's mediatraffic.com. There's revcontent.com. There's I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't think of them all, but there are people, like most people in their minds, there's 5 ad networks, and I would blow your mind to tell you that there's like 100 or more.
Wow.
So there's a lot of alternative ad networks out there. And then there's just direct buys, just buying directly from the website owner. And people are scared to pick up the phone or do a medium amount of a negotiation. And I'm telling you, if you'll be the guy who will do that little bit of extra, you can make a lot of money.
That's awesome. I remember back in the day watching Gary Vaynerchuk on Wine Library TV, and he literally, in a live video, it wasn't live at the time, but it was pre-live video, but he on the video, he just went on the web, Googled a complimentary business on the phone, had a conversation about a deal they could be brokering, and within 3 minutes he had this opportunity, because he had the brevity to go and do that. Exactly,
and I remember that video, and he didn't say anything that was masterful or like advanced negotiation tactics, or he just literally dialed and asked.
Smiled and duh, yeah.
And nobody's doing that. And it's literally that easily. So many times, like if I called 10 people right now, I could almost guarantee 3 of them would just say yes because nobody's ever asked.
Yes, I mean, a couple of years back, I remember when faxes were still around, people would say, just send someone a fax because they'll never expect a fax to come through. But the same is true of phone calls now. You get a freaking phone call, you're like, who's this guy?
Right, yeah. It's like, wow, that thing still rings?
Yeah, exactly. So before I've got 3 final questions, but before I ask the 3 final questions, how important is diversification when it comes to traffic? Because, you've talked about how, Google is now able to put all those rules in place, and you might have that amazing funnel that you've set up, but then all of a sudden they change the game. How important is it for people to diversify their traffic sources?
It's very important, but I would say it's like number 3 or 4 on my list. First, it's about where is the right traffic. And then it's about your math situation. Like those are the things that are actually going to get you to be able to spend money and make money back. And then once you have that ability, once you start making some money in your advertising, you very quickly need to diversify because, ad networks go out of business, they change their rules, the government changes their rules. There's a lot of different things at play, including just, maybe people don't want to buy your offer anymore. Right now, nobody would want to buy a flip phone, and so it's very important that once you finally get that right size funnel and you understand the math and all that stuff, diversify very quickly. That then becomes your number 1 goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, Justin, I think we've done a great job of demystifying the art of traffic and conversions. Is there anything that we've missed? Is there anything I haven't asked you that would be really important for people to know right now?
Real quick, I'd like to touch on something I call the traffic Hail Mary. And the traffic Hail Mary is how everybody's buying traffic right now. It's like they get 500 or 1,000 or whatever they're comfortable with. Maybe it's $60. They get however much money they're comfortable with. And then they put it in the ad network. They put like 1 landing page. Maybe they have a sales page. So many times it's just their homepage of their website. They stuff a bunch of different targets in there. It's like this hope and pray mentality of buying ads. It's not the freaking lottery. It doesn't work like that. It's not, put your money in and then close your eyes, cross your fingers, and hope you make money back out. There's actually a science to it. And so the way you should be buying traffic is you have whatever your money is, your budget, spend 20% of it and test different segments of the market, different ads, different landing pages. You want to be learning with that first 20% as much as you can, and then use the next 20% to verify what you learned to see if it wasn't a fluke and if you can actually recreate those results. And if you can, then spend the rest of your budget trying to scale that up. Be strategic and systematic with the way that you spend your money. Don't just lob the ball and hope somebody out there catches it.
Awesome. Well, Justin and I were speaking before the show, and his objective was to melt our minds, and I think he's done that. There's been some amazing gold content throughout this session. I cannot wait to go back and listen to it and take notes on the session. I hope you guys listening have been able to do that. If not, go back and listen. There's been so many golden nuggets. So we're going to now enter Justin into the final round. I've got 3 quick fire questions to finish up our session today.
All right.
So number 1, is if you had to start from scratch, knowing everything that you know now, having learned everything that you've learned and made all the money, etc., and you were having to start all over again, which I guess in a way you kind of are with what you're doing right now, what would be the advice that you would give your self?
Content. Focus on really good content and use a little bit of advertising dollars to help your content reach the right people. It's like giving it a little bit of a spark, and that's the way to win right now. The way to win right now is not create the most epic squeeze page and try to spend as much money on ads as you can. The way to win is, through content. Use your money strategically to reach your audience, and then they'll buy something from you.
Amazing. The second question is, what is the most impactful business book that you've ever read?
Second most impactful?
The most.
Oh, the most.
That would have been a random question. I might try that next time.
Yeah. It's really a toss-up between The Go-Giver and The Ultimate Sales Machine. Those two books have made me the most. I'd probably have to go with The Go-Giver. That's probably the backbone of my business. And then a lot of the tactics I use come from The Ultimate Sales Machine.
I love that book. Just the other day, I had this panic moment. I couldn't find it. There's a specific chapter I wanted to go and reread. It's such a powerful book. I didn't find it, but I managed to find. I did have an e-copy of it, but I couldn't find my hardback. I was so upset. But great book. The final question, Justin, is what does it mean to be unstoppable to you?
Unstoppable's in the mind, really. It's, for me, it's about trusting myself and caring about what I actually want and not letting the haters phase me, not, working for the haters. That's being unstoppable. Like when you don't care what other people think, when you're not, basing your decisions based on what society wants you to do, then you're unstoppable, because who can stop you? Not your haters, not society. It's just you.
Amazing. Well, Justin, I believe you are unstoppable. Thank you for unleashing your greatness on the show today. The final thing is, how would the listeners find out more about your work, your new projects? How can they connect with you?
The easiest way is just Google Justin Brooke. I've dominated like the first couple pages. Every other Justin Brooke in the world probably hates me. You probably, my YouTube channel, everybody loves that. So go on YouTube and search Justin Brooke Marketing. You'll find there's over 100 videos there. My blog, iamscalable.com/blog. That's where you'll find a lot of good stuff.
Awesome. All the links will be in the show notes today. Justin, thank you very much for your insight, your incredible gold. Consider the mind's melted. You've been a rock star today. Thank you so much for your time on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, my mind is melted. How about yours? As always, I'd love to hear about your own takeaways and insights on today's show. So please do come and leave a comment on the blog over at danjgregory.com/43. I'll be sharing my own insights on Monday's show coming up, where I'll debrief on today's interview and share even more unstoppable insights with you. So be sure to tune in on Monday and subscribe to the Unstoppable podcast to make sure that you never miss out on an episode. Also, be sure to check out Justin's new business, the Digital Media Buying Institute, over at dmbionline.com. That's dmbionline.com. All the links in today's episode can be found in the show notes. That's part 2 of the Mega Business Series complete. This mini series is all about giving you the tools to take control of your destiny by building your own profitable business online. If you examine how all of the top paid digital entrepreneurs structure their businesses, you will find that they all include a high value signature product, service, or coaching program as part of their overall business mix. I've just launched a brand new webinar where I teach you the exact 5-step process that the pros follow to design, create, launch, and sell out their signature offers. So be sure to check out my exclusive free training by registering now over at www.danjgregory.com/webinar. I give you everything that you need to get started in this comprehensive instant access training. So claim your spot today at danjgregory.com/webinar. Coming up next Thursday, we have part 3 of the Mega Business Series with Jody Jelas, where we're going to dive deep into how to create the most important components within your marketing funnel. But that's all we have time for this week, so tune in on Monday for the next episode of the Unstoppable Podcast. Until then, go out there, unleash your greatness, build your empire, make your impact, and live your ultimate life. You are unstoppable.